Hello, welcome to Examining Fictional Heroes and the Authors Behind Them. My name is Wayne Browder. So, we have been going over the short story Sons of the Hawk by Robert E. Howard. It is a Gordon story. Once again, it can be found in this book, El Barak and Other Desert Adventures. There were several points that I wanted to go over when I decided to cover this entire story. So I'm going to go over those. The first person I want to discuss is basically the catalyst for everything that happened in this story. Stockton, who was a part of the British Secret Service. And although his moment on the stage is brief, he is the catalyst for everything that follows. When Brent found him, he fought death to a standstill in order to tell Brent the secret that he had accidentally stumbled on that very night. That secret being that the Black Tigers had a new ruler, and his name was Vladimir Jakrovich. He told him that Gordon needed to know this information and that he must find Gordon. And I like the fact that in the story, it said that he died as he lived, in the harness. That's like the cowboy phrase, died with their boots on. Teddy Roosevelt also used that phrase in his speech, so kind of partial to it, because TR was a great man. Brent, Stockton's friend, was a gambler by profession. But he had his code, and as the book said, he lived by it, and he meant to die by it. And that is a very admirable trait. Those are the kinds of traits that we need to work on as men, to have beliefs that strong. The foundation for his code was loyalty. This friendship was as solid as a log chain. Brent never welched on a bet nor let down a friend, according to the book. He never considered not going on this mission, even though he had never done anything of that sort. Furthermore, when he had an audience with the Emir and found out that Gordon was not there, a lot of men would have been satisfied to have said, tell Gordon this, and would have thought their job to be done. Brent asked for an escort so that he could continue to find Gordon himself. And that is when he fell into the hands of a band of ruffians who were actually members of the Black Tigers, led by one Muhammad Ez Zahir. Now, Muhammad generally was just a ruffian. He just happened to be high in the ranks of the Black Tigers. His apparent only goals in life were to kill and to plunder. He had no other interests outside of that. However, one thing we do learn about him early in the story is that he is not immune to flattery. So I want to say that that is a trait that we need to be careful to not have ourselves, because people can use that against you, just as Shirkuh, to a point, used it against Muhammad. The guards at the gate, they are really typically the same kind of thugs and bullies you can run into on the street today. They are quick to take advantage of someone that they think is weaker than them or is in their power. And they had no fear, excuse me, of falling afoul of the Emir, because, I'm sorry, if the Emir had ever found out that they slew a stranger trying to enter, there would have been no retaliation against it. That's why they proceeded to go ahead and try to kill Shirkuh even after he did what the customs required. Then we meet Alafdal Khan, who was witnessing what was happening at the gate. Alafdal Khan is a very popular figure in Rub al-Harami. Very popular with the crowd. The thing about Alafdal Khan, according to the story, was that he did not lack physical courage, but he lacked some fiber of decision. And I think also that many of us might have that characteristic ourselves. And I think a lot of people probably chalk things like that down to bipolar or some such thing. I have noticed a lot of young people in particular who like to diagnose themselves with disorders that they've read about. I think people should be very cautious about that. As a matter of fact, I think even if you're diagnosed by some kind of professional, you need to really be cautious about it. You need to examine these things yourselves. Having said that, I am going to move on to Ali Shah, who hates Alafdal Khan. He began to challenge him at the gate when the troop entered the city. He has designs of being Emir himself, as does Alafdal. But he hates Alafdal Khan. But the best thing about Ali Shah is he is quick to take advantage of an opportunity. He sought that opportunity at the gate. He found it in the riot in the Suq. And he took it. Then, of course, there is Abdel Kafid, or Vladimir Jakrovich. He was a tyrant with dreams of imperialism. Oddly enough, he was a true convert to Islam, but was not bound by their superstitions. Meaning he was willing to go after the gold in the cave of Shaitan and use it for his own purposes. He did not mind spending great deals of money to attain a major goal, but but he found it very irksome to have to spend an exorbitant amount to reach a minor goal. He also lost his temper rather easily, which I have to admit to myself sometimes. However, he did say one thing that I thought was very, very interesting. He had clashed with Gordon on multiple occasions, realized that they must always be enemies, since our interests and ideals were so antithetical. So, just like the thugs and bullies at the gate, types of people that you might actually run into in your own life today, there are people in your lives whose ideas are antithetical to yours. You need to be aware of these things. Now, my main reason for getting into this story at this time was the mob itself. Because when I decided to start doing it, once again, we were experiencing massive protests about something that was going on in this country. And a lot of destruction and unrest was the result of it, as it has been too many times of late in our recent history. I think Robert E. Howard's knowledge of the mentality of the mob is phenomenal. For a guy who grew up around a very small town in Texas and spent most of his life there, he knew people. He knew men, and he knew the mob mentality. They were restless already when the troop bringing in Brent and Shirku entered the city. Immediately, they went after Brent because he was a white man and a Westerner, and they hated both. They were described as lawless and turbulent. The biggest factions among them were divided between Alaf Al Khan and Ali Shah. Again, he described them as vagrant and changeable, sullen, and they supported, during the auction, they supported Alaf Al Khan over Abd el-Kafid as Emir, until Ali Shah took advantage of the knowledge that Shirku was actually Gordon. And at that point, they turned on them. Finally, I want to delve a little bit into Francis Xavier Gordon, whom I believe I said before is one of my favorite fictional heroes. Gordon was already on a mission when he heard that he was being sought after by someone. So he came back around to try to find this person, and found that he had already been abducted by the Black Tigers. It is upon speaking with Brent that he learns the true identity of the new Emir of the Black Tigers. And he knows at that time he has to deal with that. So he follows the troop to the city, fights his way in. Alafdal Khan, in a way, falls into his hands when they enter the city. And he does intend to make Alafdal Emir of the city. But things go against them. He risks his own life to free the men who were with him from jail. He would not allow a family of peasants to be murdered to cover their tracks as they escape. But I want to go over again part of what I read in the last episode. His eyes swept his phantom crew with a strange remorse. They looked like dead men. They reeled on their feet, their heads swimming with exhaustion and dizziness. "Sorry about it all," he said. "Sorry, Brent." Once again, we see Brent's main trait being his loyalty, saying Stockton was his friend. "Alafdal, I'm sorry. Sorry for all you men." To which Alafdal says, "Nay, Olbarak, you made a king of me. I was but a glutton and a sot, dreaming dreams I was too timid and too lazy to attempt. You gave me a moment of glory. It is worth all the rest of my life." But the reason I'm going over that again, it is an odd thing to see in adventure fiction for someone to apologize for his actions. Gordon was playing for bigger stakes than just the lives of these men. But he realized that he was responsible for their lives, and he took that responsibility seriously. Furthermore, I want to add, how many of us in our workplaces have to deal with bad decisions that come from somewhere in management, and they never say they made a mistake. They just continue to double down, triple down, quadruple down on a poor decision rather than admitting they made mistakes. In this situation, Gordon is different. He shows that he realized there were mistakes made, and he is sorry for these men because of them. I appreciate you listening. If you have any comments or suggestions, anything of that nature, likes, dislikes, follows, anything would be great. I appreciate your time. Have a good night.